Hey everyone, welcome back to Realpolitik. Today we're going to be talking about the latest developments in Ukraine for June the 19th, 2023. And before we start, make sure to like and subscribe, and let's get right into it. So, in the Zaporizhia region, where Ukraine is conducting its long anticipated counteroffensive, the Vremivka tactical bridgehead has more or less stabilized. Fighting is ongoing for Makarivka. It's really just back and forth. The settlement has changed hands several times in the last few days. Um, yeah, so it's basically a stalemate, and the Ukrainians keep trying to take the settlement of Rivnopil, but they haven't been able to just yet. Now, if we go further to the west, the Ukrainians have made some progress in the settlement of, it's hard to pronounce, but it's Pyaty-Katsky. So in the settlement of Pyaty-Katsky, they've made some progress, and it's a tiny settlement. It's no more than 500, like half a kilometer by half a kilometer at most, if you want to be generous. And it's basically like a little intersection. But anyways, let's look at some footage of the town. Basically, this is a video the Ukrainians made. Every time they take over a settlement, they make a customary video. You can see the bullet holes in the building behind them. They do this for PR purposes, obviously. But anyways, this settlement didn't come for free. Let's look at this map by Rybar. You can see the settlement right here. Right, there's a little bulge, that a salient that the Ukrainians have been able to develop in this sector. But you know what's interesting? Right before I made this video, I received word from a pretty reliable source that the Russians have actually taken back the settlement of Pyaty-Katsky. And we don't really know. We just have to wait and see, because that was a few minutes before maybe like 15, 20 minutes ago. So anyways, let's wait and see what happens. In any case, let's look at a video of some of the losses that Ukraine has incurred near the village of Pyaty-Katsky. So yeah, it didn't come for free, I'll tell you that. You can see armored vehicles strewn about, abandoned and destroyed, burning, and we're basically seeing this on a daily basis. The Ukrainians have something like 300 tanks at least. Um, in terms of armored vehicles, so like Bradleys, and then like if you count armored SUV type vehicles like Humvees and like whatnot, then they have, I think, close to 1,000. So, um, yeah, they're nowhere close to done. Also, in if you go further to the east a little bit, you get to this settlement here, Robotine, and the Ukrainians have been trying to penetrate Russian front lines and get take the settlement of Robotine, but thus far they have not been successful. Anyways, let's look at some footage. Some Ukrainian soldiers have actually surrendered near Robotine. So you could see them on the ground. Let's look at that again with some volume. You can see them on the ground, and they have the blue tape on their helmets to avoid friendly fire. They have their hands over their heads on the ground.
Вот военнопленные.
So in the last few days, we've seen quite a few Ukrainian units surrendering, and a lot of it has to do with the some of them are in a very precarious situation, because sometimes they take these settlements, And then what happens is the Russians just pound them with artillery, airstrikes, and oftentimes the ones that are taking the brunt of these assaults, of these airstrikes, artillery, drone strikes, they're actually territorial defense, whereas the more elite units are usually they'll take the town, then they'll be sent to the rear, or they'll be put in a more safe location, and then the ones that have to take deal with the airstrikes and whatnot are usually more expendable territorial defense. Anyways, here's a picture. I think these guys captured the Ukrainians, and here you can see. I think their hands are tied behind their backs now. So they put tape on their helmets and their arms so that they don't they can avoid friendly fire, right? Oops, I didn't want to show you that. And yeah, aside from that, I think it was yesterday that or day before K-52 helicopter was shot down. There's a lot of footage of Russian helicopters destroying Ukrainian armored vehicles. And in the last video, I showed you guys how, according to some sources, the Ukrainians have lost something like 100 tanks and armored vehicles. And that was about 2 days ago. And that doesn't even count all the footage of the helicopters we see, because these helicopters, these Russian helicopters, they destroy targets from 5 kilometers or 8 kilometers away. So oftentimes you don't actually you don't see uh, you don't see a good enough image to positively identify the tank or armored vehicle to verify. But I mean, if you recall when this started, the Russians actually accidentally destroyed it was a tractor, and they thought it was a Leopard 2, right? So you can just see the outline in this helicopter footage. Anyways, let's look at a K-52 footage. Turn this down a bit. Yeah, there's a lot of this footage. Oh yeah, what's interesting in Latvia is one of the Baltic countries that is sending Ukraine assistance, weapons and whatnot. And some of these countries, they're actually giving Ukraine all the weapons they have. Like in some cases, like they only have like a certain type of weapon, like the Caesar, the French Caesar. I don't know which one of these states it was, but the French, one of them, they gave Ukraine all of their French Caesar howitzers, like all of them, right? So what are they going to do if they need help, if they get into a war with Russia? I don't know, but I guess they're relying on NATO. Anyways, in Latvia, what happened is a convoy of weapons to Ukraine was attacked by saboteurs or partisans, I guess you could call them. And this is the end result. And Latvia is right next to Russia, so I mean, there's probably pro-Russian elements, obviously. And let's see, there's a lot of footage of destroyed Ukrainian armor. Let's look at this. Oh my God, the music. Some of these videos have stupid music. Doesn't even... So yeah, these are two Max Pros, American Max Pro armored vehicles. They're MRAPs actually, mine resistant. And there's a French AMX 10 called the French AMX 10 RC. It's a little off the color. Just bear with me for a second. It'll adjust. So this fell into a ditch. And you have to understand, like the Ukrainians haven't even made it to the first line of defense. Um, they're just in the what you call the security zone. So I don't know what's going to happen if they actually get to the first line of defense because this is just a ditch they accidentally fell into, it seems like. But if they actually get to the first line of defense, there are tank traps where they could. I mean, there's tank traps, minefields galore. So they haven't even gotten there yet, and this is what's happening. So it's called the security zone or screening line. A lot of this, I think, also has to do with their training or lack thereof, because the Ukrainians, I mean, for the Leopards, for example, they had 6 weeks of training or 5 weeks of training, sorry. So 5 weeks where it usually takes 6 months, 3 to 6 months. So, I mean, this is what happens, right? And I'm surprised the Russians haven't captured any vehicles yet and shown them off. I'm guessing they've already captured something. They must have, because look, they're just freely roaming around, right? But infantry roaming around a vehicle and then trying to tow a vehicle is a lot riskier, right? Because you're trying to tow a vehicle, tow something this heavy, you're gonna need a big like 5-ton truck or another tank or something, and that's going to be risky, right? You could get hit by a drone, even an FPV drone. Um, this is a Leopard 2 stuck in the mud. And honestly, they haven't even gotten to, like, this map shows you all the Russian trenches along the front line. Notice how in Crimea, they even have trench networks set up. But I mean, they haven't even gotten past the screening area or security zone, right? So I don't know what they're gonna do. So here you can see this town right here, Vasilivka, and then if we zoom in, this is Vasilivka. So then, okay, so then it's something like, yeah, it's something like the line would be somewhere like here, right? The first line in this sector, anyways. And right now, assuming they can hold on to this settlement, they are how far away? 9 kilometers or 5.5 miles. Still, they have a long way to go. But yeah, once they get to this area, it's going to be a lot tougher because the Russians have tank traps like this, right? They have dragon's teeth, and they've got minefields, they've got pillboxes, trenches with tunnel networks linking them. So um, they have ambush squads, snipers with armor-piercing rounds, ATGMs, like Cornet ATGMs that can hit targets from 5 kilometers away. So yeah, I don't know. So far, it's not going that well for the Ukrainians. When this started, a lot of people said that, a lot of analysts were saying that, in the first 2 weeks, we'll know if the Ukrainians are going to succeed or not. And so far, I mean, they've made incremental gains, and it's honestly not very impressive. Um, this is just south of Bakhmut. Let's watch some of this footage. Looks like a mine hit it. Oh man. And don't get me wrong, like there's footage of the Ukrainians destroying Russian hardware too. Like there's footage of Ukrainian FPV drones hitting like a Russian tank I saw today. There was actually footage released today. I think it was today. It was really controversial. Really got people riled up. It was footage of like I can't show it, right? I can't show you um, on YouTube, but basically it's the Ukrainians storming a Russian trench, and a few Russian soldiers try to surrender, like they put their hands up, and the Ukrainians just mow them down. And then some of them even yell out and say, "I surrender," and then when they come out, they kill them. So that's pretty heinous, right? So, I mean, and then on the other hand, the Russians are taking Ukrainian prisoners, right? Like from the photos I showed you, right? Um, anyways, more attack helicopter footage. By the way, I'll put my Twitter below, the link for my Twitter. And Twitter, it's not as strict as YouTube, so you can see footage on there. But yeah, when it comes to these helicopters, for the most part, I mean, one got shot down, I think, in the last 2 days, but it's mostly it's like a duck hunt, right? It's like a turkey shoot because these helicopters they're hitting targets from like more than 5 kilometers away, 8 kilometers, 10 kilometers. And, even the Western tanks, they can't hit targets from that far away. They can't even detect them. So they're basically screwed. It's basically a duck turkey shoot. Yeah. More attack helicopter footage.
Выйдет с упреждением, да-да-да, вот так. О, едет.
And
Давай,
there
давай,
was
о,
some
давай, давай, давай. Все, давление, пуск. Подожди, давай. Пуск.
there was some footage of actually some injured Ukrainian volunteers, or you can call them mercenaries, and they were speaking French. So I think there are a significant amount of volunteers in Ukraine. They say the majority of them are Polish. There's some Georgians. There's even Chechens that are against Putin and Ramzan Kadyrov, the president of Chechnya. Um, this is a Shahed drone destroying a Ukrainian radar system. Anyways, this is Russia's defense minister Shoigu inspecting more Russian tanks and armored vehicles that are being built before being sent to the front. So I don't think the Russians are going to run out of weapons anytime soon. Their factories are producing weapons 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. They're all on double or triple shift. So yeah, it doesn't seem that the Russians are going to run out of weapons or missiles or drones or anything anytime soon. And the Ukrainians have recently come out, and some of the Ukrainian officials have said that they're not going to give up and they're going to keep fighting. They want to take all of their territory back. It's actually interesting because recently, um, Putin, he actually made some statements, and he said that because the West, they're talking about giving F-16s to Ukraine, and if they do give Ukraine those F-16s, which it seems like it's imminent, the issue is where are they going to fly from? Like, where are they going to take off from? Because the Russians can easily just destroy Ukrainian air bases, Ukrainian airfields. So that's the issue, right? And then some analysts are thinking that maybe Ukrainian F-16s are going to take off from airfields in Poland or whatnot. But Putin has warned against that. He's basically saying that if foreign airfields are used, that those airfields will be targeted. So he sent out a warning, and also Putin and some Russian officials, they were talking about basically how they were they were on the verge of making a deal with Ukraine when this war started, and then the West intervened and convinced Ukraine to keep fighting. But anyways, the deal was supposed to be something like this. Ukraine was supposed to be neutral, not join NATO ever. Their military, they were not supposed to have more than 80,000 troops. I think they have over 500,000 now, but yeah, they're supposed to be limited to 80,000 troops. And in exchange for that, Russia would actually pay Ukraine to lease Crimea, and Ukraine would get the Donbass back, but Ukraine would have to give the people in the Donbass language rights and whatnot, right? So apparently they were on the verge of accepting that, but now the Ukrainians are determined to fight till the bitter end, and the Russians have annexed not only Crimea but the Donbass. So I don't know if I don't know how this war is going to end because neither side seem like they're willing to compromise, right? But for Ukraine, I just don't really see a path to victory right now. Like, how are they going to turn this around? I mean, last year, yeah, they had success in Kharkiv, in Kherson, but that happened. Those two counteroffensives, they were successful for very specific reasons, very specific circumstances, and you know, that's not. I don't think Ukraine's ever going to have that same opportunity ever again, right? Because in Kharkiv, Russia outnumbered Ukraine, what, 5-1 or more? But I don't know. Now Russia's mobilized, so I don't know how this war is going to end. But anyways, let's take a look at. Oh yeah, Russia's bringing some TOS flamethrowers to the front in Zaporizhia. And of course, the TOS flamethrowers, they use thermobaric warheads. Anyone in the vicinity, basically, your organs will melt from the inside out. And apparently, the explosion is as hot as temperatures in the sun, which is hard to believe, but it's pretty insane. Basically, it vaporizes people. So, so the Ukrainians are so distraught, so afraid of Russian drones, kamikaze drones and whatnot, that this is what they're resorting to now. I mean, hey, whatever works, right? I guess better than getting blown up, right? In a tin can, I guess. I don't know. Yeah, this is in the Zaporizhia front. I'm not precisely sure where, but it's an Oshkosh armored vehicle destroyed. There's a lot of footage of you know, Ukrainian corpses and whatnot. I can't really show you, but again, you can go on my Twitter. Oh yeah, Ukrainian prisoners right here. This is from the Vermivka tactical bridgehead. So all along the Zaporizhia front, it seems like there's uh, there's been a trend in the last few days, if I can call it a trend, where certain numbers of Ukrainians are surrendering. Not like massive numbers, like by the hundreds, but you see groups of 20 guys, 10 guys, whatnot, just a few dozen here or there just surrendering. And these guys, I mean, you can see the look of defeat in their eyes, right? Yeah. So here, basically, a Ukrainian Bradleys got destroyed in a minefield that these guys set up. So there's that. And then those prisoners were from the Vermivka tactical bridgehead. Like I said, it's pretty much stabilized. And when this counteroffensive started, I thought that this entire area would just that the Russians would fall back from this right away. I actually expected. Um, I thought the Ukrainians would like make it deeper into Russian territory, like something like that, or like they would get significantly deeper into Russian territory, past maybe past the first line of defense. But I didn't think they would make it all the way past all the defensive lines. But I thought that they would like get to the first line, like right here. But I don't know. It just hasn't happened, right? So, and altogether, if you look at it, I mean, it just doesn't really look good because, like, this is where this counteroffensive is taking place. And then if we go back in time, right? So we go back to when it started on the 4th, approximately, on the 4th, not 2 Sundays ago. Yeah, 2 Sundays ago. And then look at the difference. Do you even notice a difference? Like, very little, right? Look at the Vermivka tactical bridgehead right here. You'll see. So I'll go forward. See that? And then right here. So right here to the far west, and then right here, right? Let's go back. So most of it happened from the 8th. So 9, 10, 11, 12. Yeah, yeah. But I mean, I don't know, man. Like this kind of progress, considering the losses Ukraine has sustained, yeah, I would say this counteroffensive is a failure. That's just my opinion, though. Tell me what you think in the comments below. And anyone who watched till the end, thank you. And if you haven't, please like and subscribe. And I will see you guys in the next one.